friends, and welcome to another episode of A Human Experience. It has been 4 months since I recorded the original episode, and that was right before I made this big transition, this complete relocation from the state of Ohio to the state of New Mexico. So it's been a period of growth, a period of transition, a period of transcendence, and now I get to come to you with the second episode in a little bit different way than I was before. And what I mean by that is the original intention of this podcast is still the same. We are going to be talking about cultural conditioning. We are going to be talking about personal growth. We are going to be talking about how to improve ourselves, how to be better humans. But there's definitely going to be an additional layer to the things that I will be talking about, which is really about our own divine self. So if you want to think about it in terms of spirituality, you are welcome to do so. It is more of, let's say, existential, something that I have really come to understand and to embrace about myself as a human being in the past few years. I have been accused many times of being a spiritual person in a way that I really don't know how to embrace. And I had to let go of the label. And it's something that I'm going to talk about a lot in this podcast when it comes to the kinds of labels that we end up taking on, or the kinds of labels that other people put on us, and how that limits us or how we resist them, and to learn about why we do that. So I'm going to just take apart a little bit of what spirituality means to me, or what it has meant to me. Like many of us, I grew up in a very Christian setting. My family was Catholic. That is the faith that I grew up in. And then later, as I got older, my mom was looking for answers to her own belief, answers about God, answers about what is, there's all these different denominations. There are all of these different ways of being and belief systems. What is true? Her perspective, her willingness to find answers, to search for answers, came from a place of wanting to know that she was doing right, that she was following the guidelines for life that she was supposed to, and that felt good for her. Okay. And a lot of times, those of us who have especially experienced, let's say, religious trauma, we have a part of ourselves that wants to know that the things that we are actually professing, the things that we're teaching, the way that we're living life, the way that we're treating others, the rules that we're following, that actually makes sense for who we grow up to be and who we're becoming. And it's coming from a place of curiosity, but it's also coming from a place of wanting to be the best person that you can be. So I had this period in my life where I saw my mom trying to find answers. And as she was trying to find answers for herself, I was doing what I pretty normally do, which is just taking in information and seeing the patterns and analyzing and trying to figure out at the same time, does this make sense to me as a human being? Does this make sense to the person that I am? So if for some reason you have a big attachment, let's say, to your own religious belief, that's okay. I'm not here to tell you that your belief system is wrong, whether you're Christian or you're Buddhist or whatever. It is not the belief system that matters to me. It is how you are choosing to live life through, in part, because it's not wholly, through your belief system, right? So we internalize the things that we learn from those around us, particularly our families and our culture, right? And a big component of that in most places around the world is religion. It's belief systems, whether that's spirituality, whether that's animism, whether that's deism. There are lots of different belief systems and life ways around the world. And as I've mentioned to you before, as an anthropologist, something that is going to always play a role in conversations for me and in my own understanding of the world comes from what I have learned as an anthropologist. And I had the honor of learning about belief systems from all over the world. I would not call myself an expert in religion and belief systems because there's just too much to know. And that was simply not what my focus was when I was an anthropologist, when I was studying anthropology. But certainly because one of the things that I do is look at the patterns and analyze and see what are the things that we share across the world. What are the things that we share as human beings? Hence the name of this podcast being A Human Experience. I'm looking for the things that connects us. In this process of my mom seeking answers and learning about different belief systems, and then my own anthropological background of learning about other belief systems around the world and through history, to me, it just became very clear that we all have the golden rule. That is across the board. We all have this value in different religions and different belief systems about being a good person and about being good to others. And so for me, that's pretty much my religion. To me, it's a very simple rule, let's say, to follow. To me, it's a simple and basic understanding of what I need to do for myself, what I need to teach my kids, and how I need to be in the world. All of this, for me, in the past few months, has also a little bit transitioned into trying to understand what spirituality means to me. Like I said, I've been accused of being spiritual, and I just had no idea what that meant. The people who know me the best say, how do you not consider yourself spiritual? You're always talking about signs and being in tune with nature and, paying attention to your surroundings and how they come together, synchronize with the things that are happening in your life. And they're right. I'm constantly in tune with more than just my own thoughts and feelings and how things are showing up for me. There is a lot that I am aware of in terms of the environment. In coaching, we actually call this global listening. It means that we're not just listening to the person that we're coaching because we have to be fully present with that person, in service of that person. And we're trying to get out of our own heads. So that's a whole level of listening. But being in tune with everything that is outside that interaction, that one-on-one interaction, it matters. And I noticed that I was naturally very good at that when I was training as a coach. And it is because I'm in tune with the sounds and the birds and the things that are happening. And even the things that seem maybe random sometimes can be very informative to the situation that is happening at the person. There is synchronicity there, even though you might feel like it's a coincidence. So all of these things combined made me realize, well, they have a point. I understand how that can be considered spirituality. And maybe part of this for me is I don't feel like I am spiritual because I am basing that metric, that label, on how much I know about spirituality, how much I know about this thing that people call spirituality. And just like religion, just like belief systems, there is something that is very personal to each and every one of us about what that means to us. So I'm going to basically set aside my own preconceptions of what spirituality has meant to me, or my own preconceptions about how much I'm supposed to know about spirituality before I feel comfortable calling myself spiritual, or certainly being a spiritual leader, which is something that a lot of people have said in the past years. I'm just going to let go of the labels. And I also want to be very intentional in this podcast to bring to the conversation that there are some things that I may not know how to explain, to articulate, maybe cognitively, about the things that I'm sensing and the things that I'm feeling, the way that I'm expanding as a human being and as a being, right? I often talk about when I feel my soul alive, and there's a very specific sensation in my body when I feel that. And not now that I'm, for example, in this moment talking to you all, it's not coming from my head. I'm allowing things to be. I am allowing things to just come to the surface. I'm allowing, whether it's a thought, whether it's a feeling, I'm allowing them to surface in service of those of you who are listening. And I'm just going to trust that whatever is coming up in conversation, whatever's coming up in the episodes, is exactly what I need to share. That is me trusting myself. That is me trusting a greater mission that I know that I have for myself in this world. And that's certainly part of my spirituality and how I'm learning to acknowledge and accept and embrace whatever the heck that means. So I hope that you're open to this slight addition to what this podcast is going to reflect on and the kinds of conversations that I might bring to the table, because I know that it's important. I feel that it's important, and I feel like it matters that I share that, especially as somebody who doesn't think that she knows very much about it. So, beginner's mindset, growth mindset, we are going to have great conversations with each other about what exactly this means for you, what it means for me, how that meaning is going to change and evolve over time, because that's part of who we are as human beings, is being really in tune with what are the things that I'm feeling about myself in this world, about my place in this world, about my place in the universe, about my place in the cycle of eternal life, or whatever feels right for you. We'll talk about that. Before moving even to New Mexico, I had this sense, this, let's say premonition might not be the right word, but certainly a feeling outside of myself that moving to New Mexico was going to be a period of spiritual growth for me. I still don't know what that means, but I have an inkling that part of that spiritual growth for me is actually stepping into this place where I get to lead others to be better, to heal, to grow, to learn, and to integrate all of the learning and all of the wisdom that I have to share so that you can grow, so that you can be your best self, so that you can reach your potential, so that you can understand what your potential even is. Because I know that that's where my magic is. And I just have to trust that. So I hope that you can place some trust in me on that too, because that's going to make our journey together through this podcast even more exciting and fulfilling. So thank you for joining me on this kind of reintroduction, and I hope to see you in the next episode.